Yeah, I just want to update you guys. Some of you may have heard all of this. Back late June, about 3 weeks ago, I guess, what I had predicted in the 1990s began, and that is catastrophic disclosure run by cutouts for the cabal who are now officially in position on the White House advisory group headed by Avi Loeb and involving Gary Nolan and Tim Gallaudet and others. And then, of course, chief disinformation proponent who has been an understudy of Dr. Death, Colonel John Alexander, was appointed as a staffer on this issue for the National Security Council. So it is a worst case scenario. I won't varnish this or paste over it. And we're trying to take actions to correct it. I think all of you saw we sent out a, unless otherwise directed letter, a 2.0 version. The first one was in 96 and it had a 60-day timeline that unless we were notified otherwise, that's what UNOD stands for, our assessment is that these programs are criminal enterprises and we will be soliciting not only domestic but foreign information whistleblowers, but hard evidence, since the 4 tranches of information released to date by the Department of War and the White House have much less relevant material in it than Project Blue Book, which was itself a cover-up front, released in the 1960s. So we are holding people to account for this. I have provided a new almost 2-page briefing and advisory for the president that was given to him directly by someone on our team who knows him personally. And we have also delivered materials to the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, as well as others. And in fact, I'm in Washington now. There's someone on our team who is going to be meeting with the Secretary of War this week. So that's sort of what we're trying to ameliorate, fix this, sort of misdirection. But of course, we're not surprised. I mean, remember in the 1990s, I wrote the paper, When Disclosure Serves Secrecy. And let me explain what that title means. It means when a fake and false disclosure or partial disclosure begins to happen that is spun in the direction of what the covert criminal cabal that's kept this secret since the 40s and 50s have as their agenda. And that is an alien threat, covering up their own misdeeds, covering up the use of advanced reverse engineered man-made technologies and the abductions, mutilations, child trafficking and other crimes, as well as, assassination and so-called wet works, targeted killings of innocent civilians. This is all, part of the same group that have these cutouts or non-official cover people who are carrying water for this criminal enterprise, who are now in the key positions doing this. And as you also know, there was this fake disclosure forum. Don't you love how everyone's ripped off the name that I created in the 90s? At Capitol Hill, that was in the Kennedy briefing room, headed up by Chris Mellon, who has been an operative and had worked with Senator John Warner, not to be confused with the current Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, both Virginia senators. Senator John Warner's dead, but he was a low-level functionary on the cabal keeping this secret. And Chris Mellon was right hand to him on that. And of course, he pretends like, oh, this is all something we need to discover. But his opening remarks were the intruders into our airspace and the threat to our national security. This is what the warmongers and the religious fanatics want. And then to top it off, now after several horrific interviews that the vice president, J.D. Vance, has given, he did another one on the biggest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan, and again referred to the UFOs as demons. So, of course, that's because he's part of an extremist religious group, a fanatical group known as Opus Dei at the Vatican. And there are a number of other people who clandestinely are part of that are part of the UFO subculture and are embedded within CIA, FBI, DOD, etc. And this is a very big problem. We saw this in the 90s. We have warned against it in briefings with members of Congress I've had personally, and the very detailed memos that have gone and been put in the president's hand. But so far, it's fallen on deaf ears. So we're now in a launch period of false disclosure and catastrophic disclosure unless we can bend the curve back to the truth. And this is a very big question as to whether that can happen. So I would tell people we need to be prepared for this because it seems like over the next coming months or a couple of years, their original plan that, Werner von Braun, who invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler, warned on his deathbed to Carol Rosin that they would hoax and create the specter of an alien threat in an attempt to unite the world around a fascistic, militaristic, global order based on fear and controlling people through fear rather than peace and universal peace, which is, of course, our mission. So I think this is, I'm giving you the unvarnished truth. This is how I am. People find it offensive sometimes. I don't care. There's a wonderful old